Okay. So I had to tell you, this past Saturday was my first time I've been to a MLS soccer game. And it was a lot of fun. Like, I'd never been to a soccer game before. I didn't know what to expect. I had, a lot of students who work for the United. And so I got in there, and the first thing I noticed was like that wonder wall with the music playing the whole time and the chants. And that was cool. And then I don't know why I didn't realize this, but just seeing it up close and personal, how physical it is out there.
Sure.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's I always tell people it's 2 hours front to back. There's action the whole time. There's singing, there's chanting. And most people, when they show up and for the first time, like you, Kevin, they're always pleasantly surprised. First of all, the stadium it's a beautiful place to walk into. The energy in the stadium is amazing. But to your point, when you're kind of up close and personal, you get a different perspective, and I don't want to call it respect, but maybe a little respect for just like, oh, there's more going on than what I see on TV sometimes, right? Which is cool.
100%. Every time I watch soccer on TV, I said there's some of the most in shape elite athletes out there. I mean, to run that far back and forth.
Sure. Yeah.
And I watched those guys, chasing down balls. And I'm like, man, I used to play football. I immediately thought about like hamstring pulls. I'm just like,
Sure.
You're running so fast, so long, so far.
Yeah.
But anyway, I enjoyed it. It was fun to see. I was up close, so I could hear sounds and coaches and whatnot. So it was a really cool experience.
It's great, dude. Well, thanks for being there. It's awesome.
The other thing is that now you guys are on a 2-month hiatus due to the World Cup.
Yeah.
And so how do you spend those 2 months off?
Yeah. It's a good question because this is the first time we've had a break like this this is now my 14th season. I've never had like a summer break, which to be honest, Kevin, is so nice. It's so nice to have, especially with kids now that are like school age and they're out of school and you're like, oh man, the summer, when you're a kid, summer's the best. When you're a parent, you're like, can they go back to school already? So it's going to be a lot of dad time. It'll be a lot of, obviously we have on the sporting side, there'll be like upkeep, bodily upkeep, mental upkeep on, because it's not just a hiatus and then come back unfit. It's come back fit, ready to go. So there will inevitably be workouts and things we need to be doing while we're away from the team setting. But it's a great opportunity to kind of downshift and hit reset on maybe some of the things you don't get to do during the grind of a 10-month season. So for us, it's a little bit of family travel, go see some family members, those things that, once again, like during the hubbub of a season, you don't always get to do. So for me, I'm really looking forward to it, just because, look, Minnesota in the summer is like the nation's best kept secret. It's unbelievable. So maybe getting out, seeing some lakes, driving to different parts of the state we haven't gotten to see. But really, it's just, like I said, slowing down and being present with the family.
Will you watch soccer? Will you follow the World Cup or?
Yeah, I think it's nearly impossible to be not just a player, but also a soccer fan and not want to take in the greatest sporting spectacle there is, especially when it's here. Obviously, cheering for the United States. One of our teammates, Michael Boxall, cheering for New Zealand. We'll be cheering for a couple guys that we know on Canada, James Rodriguez that's with Colombia. So it's fun when you have kind of those personal ties to people to be able to turn in on a game and see someone that you know playing on the biggest stage. Is amazing.
For sure. Well, I want to welcome Wil Trapp, captain of the Minnesota United, to the Twin Cities Leaders podcast. So, Wil, thank you for your time today and for joining us on this day. I want to get into really just talking about some early influences for you. And so, what were some of those early influences or voices that shaped how you saw the game when you were growing up?
It's a great question. When I was young, I'm the youngest of 3 siblings. I have an older brother and an older sister. So I was in many ways, Kevin, the tag along. Just like, come along here, Willie, we're doing this thing, So that comes with a lot of observation. That comes with a lot of watching older kids playing with the siblings of my brother's teammate. Those sorts of things were really formative for me. Just getting out, and I don't know how football is, but in soccer, it's like the more you can just be touching the ball and playing, the more creativity comes, the more enjoyment comes. And I was very fortunate to be kind of naturally in those environments. And then from there, my dad was he was the coach for my brother's team, but more in an administrative role. He played football, he played basketball growing up, but didn't have a soccer background. So my dad, smartly in his eyes, hired a Nigerian gentleman, Andy Azomba, who was kind of a cult hero in the Columbus area. And Andy just trained kids out of the back of his car. He's showing up, he's got a bag of balls, he's got little flags he would set up, and he just trains kids. So he was the trainer for my brother's team. And to that point of hey, Will, you're just sitting on the sidelines, come in and train. And he really took me under his wing from age 6, roughly. And I found I just loved training. I loved playing the sport. And I was good at it. So that really took on kind of a compound effect of, all right, we'll just keep riding this horse. This is enjoyable. This is fun. And Andy, we played a game, a month ago in Columbus, and he came to the game and he still gives me pointers, 20, 30 years later, which is just amazing to have those relationships that you see. At the time, you don't really take pause and have the perspective of wow, this is an extremely formative time with an extremely important person in your life. But I'm super grateful to him. And then on the other side, Kevin, my mom's side of the family, my grandfather's a Greek immigrant, came over to the United States in 1950 and played soccer his whole life. So he was another huge influence of this is what I know this sport. I've played this sport. And he was always giving us pointers as well. And when I was playing in Columbus, he would come to every game. We'd warm up. I'd run off the field, but before I run off the field, I'd go give my grandfather a hug before the game, which was once again these little moments of God shining in and saying, "Hey, slow down. This is an important thing for your life, and you're going to remember these things."
And those moments, those almost like micro moments, led you up into your captainship as a teenager. And so I'm curious, what was that like as a teenager to be the captain for your youth national teams?
I think for me, I've never viewed myself as a leader. And I don't know, I'm sure you interview people all the time about this exact topic, right? It's more, hey, I love to do this thing. These are the habits and the behaviors I tend to exhibit, and they just happen to align with what people view leadership as. Does that make sense? And you can call that natural ability or whatever it may be, but I just think this is my expression of how I want to play the game, how I want to be a teammate, and now as I've gotten older, a husband and a father, right? But as a young athlete, I think so much of it was rooted in competition. Hey, I want to win. How do we win? Can I help the team do that? And I think when you train a lot and you're good at the sport, people naturally kind of defer in many ways. But in my mind, I don't think that deference was me thinking, oh, I need to be this certain type of leader. It's just, hey, I love playing this. I want to help the team win. Let's go do that thing. And once again, the alignment of those qualities and behaviors tend to attract people in fellowship.
So it wasn't like a performance standard, hey, I want to be a leader and then I'm going to do these things. You were just naturally being yourself and it aligned with leadership.
I think so. As I've reflected on it quite a bit, I'm sure for you, when you were an athlete as well, we all have an internal drive to want to be the best we possibly can be. And in many ways, for me, it was Well, I just want to get better. And sometimes getting better looks like doing extra training. And sometimes getting better is grabbing Kevin and saying, hey, let's go do some work on this, right? Now, is that leadership or is that me like, I want to get better? You know what I mean? Or do they coincide together in many ways, right?
It's viewed.
So there's just this, precisely. And I think that the nuance often gets stripped away because we like binary. We enjoy, oh, he's a leader, or he's a whatever. It's like we all lead in our own way. Mine just happened to be rooted in this type of behavior. That's all.
So some would say then, hey, are you a natural leader or did you evolve into this, over a period of time? I guess two things can be true, right?
Yes.
How do you
it's paradoxical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at it like, and as I was thinking about this before our chat, it's like curiosity, I think, is a big underrated quality when it comes to leadership, right? I was naturally curious around improvement and growth. And when you're naturally curious around those things and you're trying to always find the next level for yourself, you pull people along because everyone has that internal desire to not stay where they're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
The plateau is a very scary place to be. It's a very frustrating place to be. And I think we try in many ways in our life to free ourselves from the current standard to the next standard. And for myself, always trying to improve. And in many ways, I've taken it positively and negatively, for sure. That trend line is attractive for people because we all want to grow. And I think for me, it's now as I've matured, because I think back then it was more singularly focused. As I've matured, you say, okay, I still want to improve singularly, but my impact can be amplified so much more if it's not just me thinking about Wil all the time. And maybe back then I was doing some of that, but certainly not from a conscious perspective.
I coach boys and girls tennis at the high school level, and they're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. And what's fascinating about this is that you're in an identity space of just figuring out who you are just as a teenager, as a 10th grader, 9th grader, and then being the best athlete that you can be on top of modeling leadership skills and becoming a leader.
Sure.
And like all those things at such a young age was it hard for you? I mean, what did you feel it? Or was it just, you just took it, you didn't look at it that way?
I think that there's probably a myriad of things I, at the time, struggled with in terms of balancing those elements you just spoke about. But ultimately, it's rooted in confidence, man. And that sounds, I don't know, a little ethereal, but trusting that you're good at the thing you're trying to be good at and that you have a vision that you're going toward, right? For me, it was like, I want to be a professional player. That's what I want to do. I'm going to try to find a way to make that happen, right? So when your buddies want to go do something else or it's Thanksgiving and you're away, like, this is my aim. Like, I want to do that thing. So when you can kind of cut through the distractions with a very clear vision is what I would say, the identity pieces really start to fall into place. And we'll probably get into this, but I do a lot of mental performance coaching, and the beginning of the entire thing, it's been 5 years for me now, but at the beginning, it all is rooted in vision. And Kevin's going here. Well, who does Kevin need to become in order to attain or get to that place? And it's really funny. I love looking back and having conversations like this on well, what were you doing at 15? It's well, I was doing that. I just didn't know I was doing that, right? And I think I'm sure you see it all the time. It's we get so distracted with other things that just are of lesser importance and are really just bars in a cage that we're choosing to stay in versus walking out of.
I read that you like to play poker. Is that true?
I don't play poker. I like to watch the boys play poker, but I don't play poker.
Okay. You like to watch?
I'm not a gambler in any. I watch the boys play on the plane right behind me all the time.
Because I was just curious, because I watch poker. I don't play myself, but I know there's strategy to it, right? And there's reading people. There's a lot of just watching and observing. Do you feel, just from watching it, do you feel like there's some connecting points to that in how people lead?
I think you can look at poker, you can look at soccer, you can look at football, tennis, parenting. They're all just a reflection and teaching us about life. And in life, we're called to lead. It's just what we are. As a husband and as a father, I'm called to lead my family in many respects. I happen to just have that in my career as well. So I don't think it's necessarily like a specific to poker perspective, but I do find that the most welcoming, peaceful, wise people I've ever met tend to speak less and listen more. I found that they tend to be very present with you, and you can feel, even if the words don't match always exactly the someone could tell you something devastating, but if they're doing it in a loving, present way, it feels a little different. And you're like, oh, this person kind of cares, right? So I think for this example, what poker can teach you is to be extremely in the moment and looking for cues. And we do that every day. But are we taking in the cues and seeing people as people and from a leadership perspective? Or are we just bulldozing through, focusing on ourselves? And that's something to go back. My family being mom's side of the family, grandfather being an immigrant, married an Greek-American woman, and my grandmother was very new immigrants came into the church in Columbus, and she was like, come to our house, we will treat you. We'll take care of you, we'll help you assimilate. So very welcoming, very present, very malleable in how she was able to just address people and be with people. My mom took on that quality and she passed it on in many ways to the 3 children. So we've always been very capable of just meeting people where they're at. And I don't know how you parent that into kids, but it's just kind of what happened. And I find it as one of the essential tools in a tool belt for a leader. Be able to talk to the best player on the team, be able to talk to the guy who's never going to play. Be able to have a conversation like we're having now, and be able to just go back with your buddies and chop it up it was high school again. Have range, right? Have that range and that dexterity to not just be a one-note type of person.
Talking to Wil Trapp, the captain of the Minnesota United, when I was listening to you say that, I was just thinking, for people who may think well, how do you do that? How do you have that range? Is that personality driven, or is that a skill?
I think personality plays into it, but don't limit yourself in just saying, well, I'm just not that way. I think that that's such a small way to look at it. It's there are ways you can be, to the point we were making earlier, naturally curious about what's going on in other people's lives. You can do that quite easily. Now, it's a little uncomfortable. It's a little unfamiliar to step into that unknown. And I'm sure you've had conversations like this. I liken it a lot to cold plunges are the big thing now, right? Everyone's doing cold plunges. It's 3 minutes of discomfort for a day of vitality, right? So that 3 minutes versus the rest of your day is pretty small, right? Having a conversation leading with presence and love toward the person might feel uncomfortable for the 10 minutes you have that conversation, but the relationship alters completely. Because now I look at Kevin and I go, I trust that guy. That guy cares about me. I'll run through a wall for that guy. Or when things get tough, I'm gonna have his back. And it's pretty amazing. I've seen this work in a radical way. And you're like, that's all it is, man? It's just that little bit of discomfort. It's just that cold plunge for the one day. And it could change, especially in professional sports, where if you can help someone go from this level of performance to a spike in performance, that changes lives. That can change his life. That can change his family's life, the generations down the line, right? And that isn't saying, oh, I did that. It's just saying I showed up for people in a way that they needed in the moment. So to your point of, is it personality? Is it a skill? I think to our point on paradox, it's a little bit of both. And it can be amplified if it's natural for you, and it can be worked on if it's not necessarily your bent from the beginning.
For sure. I want to talk about the armband, and
sure.
And what do you think is the hardest thing that people don't see about wearing the armband and being a captain of an MLS team?
The hardest thing about it, that's a good one, dude. I don't know if there's not something that I would say is hard about it. I think that there are certain responsibilities that come up. You will be judged in a different light because you're looked at in a different light. But what I found for myself is, to that point we were speaking about earlier around, okay, well, what kind of leader do I want to be? What is the vision for my leadership? And then it doesn't become this, my identity is at stake every time a game happens or a win happens or a loss happens. You see that?
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to flow into some caricatured version of leadership when things are going well or they're not going well. But we know, I think, integrity and consistency in who you're trying to be every day is really where change happens and where growth happens. So I've worked and had many uncomfortable conversations and coaching sessions around okay, well, who do you want to be, Will? What is that? What is that guy like? How does he show up? And that's going to be a process that goes on forever, probably, right? But as a leader on a soccer team, you also realize that we play a kid's game and it's awesome and it's super fun. And the more joy you can experience and smiles you can create, like the one you just popped onto the screen, we're in the entertainment business, baby.
Yeah.
Let's try to entertain. It's not that serious.
Right.
It's not that serious. And I think for me, letting go of that and trying to do the best I can in the moment while trying to bring joy to the fans and to myself and my teammates, the rest takes care of itself. Because people really, it's like when you smile, I want to hang out with that guy. That guy looks fun.
Right.
The law of attraction is real. So if you're inspiring those qualities, which I think naturally pull us towards growth and excellence, let the work do its work.
You mentioned the word confidence early on. I would imagine being a leader or a captain of a professional team is because when you're in college, you're in a 18 to 22-year-old box, right? And you all are kind of going through similar life experiences, and then you come into a professional setting, and you're the youngest guy. You could be one of the younger players on the team, and have to be a leader of men. And so I'm sure that confidence has helped you along the way with that transition, has it not?
Undoubtedly. And I think this is a great moment to sit there and just express the gratitude for the mentors you've had when you're the young player and the teammates you've had that really helped you build that confidence, sustain that confidence, and then ultimately make the jump to now where I'm the veteran on the team, right? Because I can count. It's difficult to name names even, but just so many teammates and coaches that I've had that I'm eternally grateful to for modeling what leadership looks like, modeling what confidence looks like, and then also speaking those things to me to help me stay afloat when I felt like I was, being capsized. So I think you can't undervalue or overlook just how many people contribute to our stories. But confidence is this fascinating thing that I've always been one. I'm more of a masochist to myself, where I beat myself up for so long, Kevin. For so long, I was just like, not good enough. Got to do it again. Not good enough. It's not good enough. And in a way, can be an extremely effective strategy. But I think for me, I hit this point where I was exhausted. My battery had been drained and I was experiencing no love for this kids game we get to play. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is your favorite thing in the world, bar being with your family and rolling around on the ground with your kids. The fact that you've allowed it to become work, quote unquote, it's not an outside problem, it's a you problem. So there's a book I've read, and I don't know if you've heard of it or anyone you've interviewed has spoken about it, but it's called, it's the most boring title of a book ever, but it's called 38 Letters from Rockefeller to His Son. And it's letters from John D. Rockefeller to his son in a way in which you would write to your kids or I would write to mine. Like, I love you. Here is some wisdom I've learned over the course of my career. And in this case, like being the wealthiest person on planet Earth. Like, okay, let's slow down. Like, there's probably something there we can learn, right? And there's one letter, I think it's like letter maybe 3 or 4. And he talks about if life and, well, if work is toil, life is hell. And if work is pleasure, life is heaven. And I read this at a time where I really needed it. And what I found was, okay, my orientation towards what I'm doing is misaligned. And then there's another letter in the book where he goes into, I just replaced the idea of I'm not good enough or I can't do it with I'm capable and I can do it. Because the more we feed that part of us that believes we can accomplish something and do something and we're capable, the more our creative brains that are incredible find solutions to that thing. But if you're constantly undercutting yourself, constantly saying it's hopeless, constantly saying I'm incapable, don't be surprised when you confirm that belief.
Absolutely. Because it's all in your head. Whatever you believe ultimately is going to be what you put out, what you start to practice. So I want to just frame this. So about 16, you were, started your leadership journey around there as a teenager. Now you're in your 30s. What has changed in terms of your leadership over those years that you have been able to draw upon?
I think, and I briefly touched on it earlier, it's the orientation of the leadership has changed. Before it was very, I'll call it limited. It was singularly focused and limited to just myself. And my self-leadership, like we talked about, tended to attract people and coaches to those behaviors, right? But what I found now as I've matured and gotten older and still just slightly not as dumb as I was before, is like, that's too small. It's too small to look at like, okay, this is my career and when I'm done playing, do I want to tell my kids, oh yeah, dad scored or dad did this or he won some trophies? Or do I want to be able to sit there and tell them, look at the impact I had on people, right? And leadership ultimately comes from now for me of like, man, how do I build you up, man? Like, let's do this. Let's have fun and let's go somewhere together. Because soccer, unlike tennis, as you probably see, it's team sport, man. And it's really easy to sequester yourself off and think it's this siloed thing. It's not. Our synergies and our connections matter so much more than we realize. And are we taking those for granted and just assuming they will happen naturally? Or are we investing in those connection points? And I think for me now, it's a lot more of that. It's a lot more of letting truly the joy of what, like, I get to do this and who knows how much longer I get to do this amazing job. Mm-hmm. Like, let people understand, like, this is amazing. You should have fun every day. Have fun. Even when you're working hard, even when you're sweating, you're getting paid to be the fittest you've ever been in your entire life. What a gift, dude. That's awesome. You know what I mean? So it's things like that to just give perspective, I think, is where my leadership has morphed into now. and then trying to unleash the shackles that you see in yourself and then also you see in other people.
I like what you said about pouring into one another and let's do something together. Like, I think that's the coolest part about being a part of a team is like, hey, I'm not just doing this for me. Like, I'm doing this for all of us, for all of us to benefit and all of us to win, regardless of your title, position, where you stand on the team. Like, we all get to experience it. I think that's the cool part, and that gets overlooked oftentimes.
It gets overlooked because it's not necessarily it's not the bicycle kick that scores the goal. It's not, it's not the very clear picture. But in many ways, like someone that hits a home run, like good batting is where that comes from. Good swing after good swing after good swing is where the home run comes from. It's not just hoping every time you swing for the fences. Rarely do you hit home runs when you're doing that. It's the small daily investment over time, right? And if you can be someone who shows up for others that way and shows up for yourself, right? Because we need to organize ourselves first before we can lead other people in any regard. But I think the assumption that things will just handle themselves is so naive to me. Like, it's so naive that like, oh yeah, like we're around each other all the time. It'll just work itself out. Well, maybe just like we work on skill acquisition on the field, maybe the same is true of the relationships and the continuity we build off the field.
And that's intentional because you're going to have because that creates culture, right? So that's going to create an intentional culture. And if you don't do it, and if you wait and see approach, that creates a culture too. You know what I mean? Like they both create a culture. It's which one do you want to live in and be a part of?
And to tie it back to a trend line we've had, it's like, well, what's the vision for the team? Do you want to win? So if Kevin and I are teammates and you're doing something that's hurting the team and I don't say anything, but someone asks me, oh, you want to win a championship? Absolutely. Then go talk to Kevin. It's like, but no, I don't know. That doesn't, and you're like, then you don't actually want to win. And that's where you sit there and you go, put yourself on the hook.
And have those difficult conversations because you're just complicit into whatever happened into the default of the culture of the vision. You're contributing to that.
So precisely. And there's a really, again, people have different beliefs. I'm a Christian, and there's a fascinating delineation that I heard around boyhood and manhood. And it was so telling when it comes to leadership. So there's a gentleman, Robert Lewis, he does a program, it's now probably 25 years old, called Men's Fraternity. And in one of the books, he talks about the first Adam and the second Adam. The first Adam being Adam in the Garden of Eden, and the second Adam being Jesus, right? So the first Adam, sin comes into the world because the first Adam is passive. He doesn't act with any courage, and he doesn't lead his wife in this case. So he's passive, he takes no responsibility, and he lacks courage to lead with, like, courageously, essentially. And what happens? Okay, the snake shows up. Hey, take a bite of this apple. Nothing's bad's going to happen. You're going to be great. Cool. In that moment, if he was not passive, he goes, snake, you can buzz off, buddy. He could grab something. He could chop the snake's head off. He could have done so many things. Instead, he's passive. They eat from the apple. He lets Eve take the fall, essentially. You're like, yo, this guy was a disaster. So you transpose that with the person that Jesus was when he came on earth, right? Was not passive in any regard. Took responsibility for everyone when he didn't deserve what he got. And he always acted and led with courage. All right. When we have problems in culture, it's because we're acting like boys. We're passive. We don't want to accept responsibility for things, and we don't want to lead with courage. And I've seen this played out on a soccer field so many times, it's scary. And you go, oh, well, actually, we're just being boys, guys. We're just being boys. Let's go be men. Men say, I'll take responsibility, no problem. Yeah, it doesn't feel good that the media is bashing me, but who cares? If it's going to take us forward, let's go forward. Okay, this is the thing that's causing harm. Like, let's call that thing out and let's correct it. Doesn't mean I dislike you or I hate you. It just means we're not aligned on who we are. Let's align that. And let's be the people that seek that out and rid the weeds from what's trying to grow.
And it's
but
not
I thought
personal.
that picture, yeah, go ahead, please.
And it's not personal.
But it's not personal, man. I mean, it might feel that way, but to go back to where one of the beginning ones, it's like, lead with love. Hey, Kevin, I care about you. I want you to do well. And here's some ways in which I think you could grow, or rather said better is like, here's some things that are holding you back from being even better. And you go, oh, wow, Will actually he cares about me being better. He might tell me some hard things like in a second, but the fact that I led it with, I love you and I care about you and I want you to be even better and reach your ultimate potential, you go, all right, this guy's for me. And yeah, ultimately guys tend to go, you're right, I kind of know that's been happening, but I didn't want to admit it to myself, right? That's what I found when people have done that to me, at least.
And that is the power of constructive feedback. And I've always was taught, and I practice that the more you care about people, your feedback can be a little bit more tougher. You know what I mean? In terms of what you're trying to get out of somebody. But if you're coming at people where they don't think you care about them, then they naturally get defensive. If they know that you care about them, consistently have shown that you care about them, and then you come in with some tough feedback, they can take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like with your kids, right? I try every day, so I miss all the time, but I try to say, I love you, I'm proud of you, and something they're good at. It's like this really beautiful little trifecta that builds, you talk about confidence. If you can instill from a young age, you're loved, people are proud of you, and you're good at things, you'd be amazed what kids can achieve as they get older, right? Because you're just building that reservoir of confidence. You're building that belief in themselves of, I am capable. And the same is true when you transpose it onto a team environment. It's like every day shaking someone's hand, look them in the eye. How you doing, man? You doing all right? Cool, good. And not just doing it because it's what we do, but doing it as hey, I saw yesterday you were you seem a little sad, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Presence is huge. It's just being present and regarding people. That's where I think if I had to take one major learning thing in leadership is slow down. Slow down.
And
the thing you think you need to get to right now is,
performative leadership and authentic leadership.
100%.
Is that when you're authentic, it's every day. It's not, it's not a performance. It's not, you're trying to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's just who you are, people pick up on that.
But then the question for you is, how does it just become just who you are? Is that innate or is that a learned skill, right?
For me, it's over time. Everything is over a period of time. And how, as a professor, how it was 5 years ago and how I interact with students is different than a year ago and different. I think we're always evolving into that next version of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the people that it resonates the most with is when they know that it's authentic. When it's not just them that's receiving that experience, is everyone that receives that experience, and they can see it. It's not just one student; it's all students. There's not one player; it's all the players.
Yeah, there's a certain weight to it, right? There's a substance when people show up with integrity day after day after day. It's
absolutely.
I know who Kevin is. I can trust. It is it's like being, especially as we're older players on the team, I always liken us to we're the bumpers on the bowling alley, It's like the young ones are going to roll. We're going to get you down the lane. We're going to get you down the lane, baby. But you're going to crash into us every once in a while, right? And it's being those consistencies, especially for young players, especially for kids, where they know that they know that Will is going to be there, right? And he shows up like this. That's one thing I know is going to be there. And for me, consistency is such a controllable thing for ourselves. But it's every day, to your point. And are you controlling it in a way towards the higher level, the more beautiful version of Kevin, or just the current one that you're like, I hope this is all I got. I'm just staying here. You're like, we're not called to be like that, man.
For sure.
We're not called to be like that.
I want to talk about the psychology of soccer, the set piece mindset, I'm calling this.
Yeah.
And anytime I talk to athletes, I'm just always curious about like what goes through your mind. So like, what goes through your mind in these moments, whether it's you're at home or on the road or points of the game? Like, what are you thinking?
I'll start with the game. I think that's maybe the more nutrient-rich area to start because, I guess pre-game and game. So much of it is taking what we've spoken about through the length of this interview and really distilling it down into like, here's the thing I want to accomplish in this game, or here's how I want to show up in the game. And I can do it. And sometimes it's like as simple as that, but it's really rooting into, okay, what are the qualities that bring about the best version of Wil on the field? And for me, I have 2 or 3 things, right? And it's really like through the warm up, through pregame, just like grounding into that vision essentially. And from there, it's just constantly as the game's going, like when you feel like you need the mental diet of some pick me up, like you can do it. You're capable. You can do it. It's just adding that in every once in a while because you don't have a whole lot of time to think on the field. It's not. But to your point around set pieces, it's like the little bit of pause that you do have where you're evaluating what's going on. And it's like, we're waiting for somebody to come up and take the corner kick or the long throw in. And you sit there and you go like, this is a moment. Here's a moment. Go grab the moment. Right? So it's really hyper focusing that confidence piece to very consumable bites while you're on the field. As for travel and just being away from home, I think for me, I don't think too much like when we're away. It's more try to FaceTime the family as much as possible. Try to make sure my wife is everything okay because 3 kids is a lot while we're traveling. But then it's just like sinking into the cool cities we get to travel to and enjoying, once again, this kids game we get to play at a high level.
Well, when you're at those road venues, does, and obviously you're the opposition in those moments, I mean, do you lean harder into that mindset than maybe if you were at home?
It's a game state thing, right? You look at, there are some places we go where it's more challenging because the fans are right on top of you and the team is performing well and put in whatever you'd like. Any circumstance qualification you'd like, right? But I don't think, that doesn't mean the recipe changes. Maybe you dial it up sometimes, maybe you dial it back. But to the conversation we're having earlier about presence and observation, one of the most important things I've found in practical like soccer leadership while on the field is trying to take in your teammates' body language and like, how does it look like in this case Kevin's feeling on the field right now? Does he seem comfortable? Does he seem like he's overthinking it? And then trying to pump the tires as need be, right? It's like, dude, you're doing great. Don't worry about it. No problem. Next one, whatever it is. It's like those little things that can build someone up when maybe their own foundation seems to be crumbling. And to that point earlier, it's like, be the one that they can bump into as the consistency.
Okay. So I was told that style is something that you're known for. And look, I mean, with tunnel fits and all these different, looks that athletes or what people are wearing nowadays, I'm just curious about, has it always been important to you?
So this is an interesting one. Is it innate or is it learned? I don't know. This one might just be innate.
That's my follow-up question. Is it influenced by somebody?
So it's a funny one, man, because I think for me, like, I have always enjoyed like clothing. I don't know why. It's just something I've always liked. And there's probably some photos from when I was young that are just, oh man, brutal in today's lens. But I've, to the point of we have plenty of downtime. And through that, like one of the things I've always been drawn to is just learning more about clothing, how it's made, certain brands I like, the story behind those brands. I've gotten to meet some amazing people that have their own brands. So it's a hobby / passion of mine that I thoroughly enjoy. And I think as I've matured and gotten older, I've started to take more risks because it's fun. Like it's just not that, once again, like enjoy yourself, take risks. Don't do it in like I'm not going to go over the top, but in ways that I find to be unique and enjoyable. But yeah, I've gotten a little bit of a moniker of being a somewhat or a style guy, quote unquote. But I think I'm fairly tame compared to other guys. I think I'm fairly tame. But it's certainly innate, dude. It's innate. 100% on that one.
Okay, so were you like this as a kid? Like, are there iterations of your style, or do you pattern it after someone?
Oh man, when I was growing up I'm from Ohio, so like some people debatable Midwest, but Midwest, it was like mall brands, Abercrombie, like all that stuff was like the coolest thing, right? Cool kids wore it. And then I actually moved away from home when I was going into my freshman year in high school to like a soccer academy. And my roommate was from Newport Beach, California. And he was wearing Vans and like all these things I'd never seen before in my life, right? And I was like, well, that stuff's kind of cool. Like, so a little bit of influence there. And then I came back home and I was wearing Vans and all my buddies started wearing Vans. So it was just this like interesting kind of take things that you find cool and exciting and different and then trying to incorporate that into your own language, I guess. So I don't know. I think there's not like one specific person. I just enjoy people that, to your point earlier, are authentic in what they wear and how they express themselves through the medium of clothing is cool to me.
Yeah, and it's that, that whole look good, feel good, play good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's the armor before the armor. You know what I mean? You show up to the game looking fly, and then you put on your uniform. And again, it's all part of that confidence and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's maybe less meta in that regard. It's more just, I feel good in this. I enjoy wearing this. And from there, to your point, the confidence is just kind of, it emanates a little bit from that.
So I believe that leadership is art. It's not this abstract version of instruction and what people think is reality. I'm curious for you, what has soccer taught you about life, and what has life taught you about soccer?
Oh, I think football is it's just the vessel through which we learn about life. I truly believe that. The more I've kind of dug into, in many regards, this mental like performance coaching space, the more I see just there are principles at play in life. And when applied and used in concert, they create exponential types of relationships, exponential types of results. It's like learning to play music. If I can command the scales, then eventually I can play jazz because I can command the scales, right? I can then express my own creative power and might to this thing, but it ultimately is rooted in the principles and the foundation. So the more I'm seeing, it's like, just do the 6 or 7 things. Show up for people, have vision, be present with them, listen. Like, just do 4 or 5 of those things, 6, 7, even better. and then see what kind of music you make, man. Like that's for me, it's not as hard as we think it is, but it's difficult to do those things daily. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's a quote that came across my Instagram the other day, and it was Charles Mingus, and it was like, the best musicians, he's a jazz musician, they take the radically complicated and make it incredibly simple. The amateurs take the simple and make it incredibly complicated. And you see that in soccer all the time. Soccer is Kevin passes to Will passes to this person, we score. It doesn't need to be hard. But we take a complicated thing and we take a simple thing and we make it very complicated because we're trying to influence it in this way or that way or overthink this. And it's like, just allow things to unfold from their proper place when you do the principles.
Yeah. And you carry those principles because life is ever changing. And that's the thing. You never know what circumstance is going to arise and when you have to use that principle. That's just like emotional intelligence. It's like, it's cool to be emotional intelligent when everything is fine. It's just when things are all over the place, can you stay and practice emotional intelligence? And that's 100%. And that's the part about, that's what life is. Life is, it throws you these curveballs, but you have to be able to be grounded and like a compass almost to navigate.
Yeah. And you want to be moored to something. And I think there is a very, and again, I've only just started, I'm dipping my toe into this pool of like, life is crazy. Even like just watching your gesticulation, it's like, like things are coming at you. You're almost protecting yourself from life. But there's also another side of the coin where like opportunities are everywhere all the time. And are you open or allowing yourself to receive those opportunities? And a little backstory, our second child, when he was born, had a complication where we didn't know if he had an immune system, all this crazy, like very heavy stuff for parents of, at that time, a 2-year-old and a newborn. And we sat there and you're like, this is heavy, man. Like, how are we going to move forward? Are we going to need like a bone marrow transplant? Is he going to survive? Like, you go through the full gamut of things. And what you realize, and thank God that he's a Terminator. He's an absolute beast of a human. He's hilarious. He's got glasses and asthma. He's going to get stuffed into a locker his first day of high school, but he's a beast, bro. And what we found was like, he came through it. He's totally healthy now. And there is nothing we did or the doctors did. So the lesson I learned is we'll sit there and stay in our limited little space just trying to clutch onto some version of control that is actually not ours to begin with, and we actually don't have control of it anyway. Like, open your hands up, receive what's coming, and life may not always go exactly how you want, but there's going to be things that come that you couldn't have predicted, because they're going to unfold in your point of like in an absolutely artistic, beautiful way. And that's because life is supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be this regimented, boring story that we already know the ending of. That's not fun.
Right. Yes.
No one likes that.
This segment is sponsored by Kowalski's Markets, where it's all about the joy of good food.
So, Will, I'm going to get you out of here on this question I ask all my guests. And that is, what is your Twin Cities hidden gem? It could be a place, event, or an experience that you think more people should know about.
Hidden gem. So we live kind of on the west suburbs of Minneapolis. I'm hesitant to like, where do we go? What do we do on a frequent basis? Honestly, man, I'm just going to plug our church. Our church is, since we moved here, has been kind of the foundation and the rock for so many relationships, so many just incredible experiences. They do such a great job of welcoming in young families. It's called Woodridge Church. It's in Medina. It's a place that I truly feel like is worthy of people to know about it. I could say a restaurant, I could say a coffee shop. Sure, that would be great. But and those people also deserve to be known about. But I think from a heart perspective of like who's impacting those around them in such a beautiful way, like this place is nothing short of that. It's amazing.
Woodridge Church in
Medina.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to see you there then, huh?
Well,
you're going to come visit? Or you're forced. That was my way of getting you in, dude. I got you.
I gotta get my Sunday suit out.
That's so awesome.
I go everywhere. So hey, listen, this is gonna be no different.
Dude, you're a beast.
Oh, this is great. You're the first guest though that has mentioned the church, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's where I'll be.
Yeah, let's try some. Yeah, I'm happy to be the first one.
Absolutely. Will, it's been a pleasure, my man. I really appreciate the time.
Same, dude.
And join me on the next episode of the Twin Cities Leaders podcast. You can find me, listen to me on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and also watch on YouTube for behind the scenes information, Instagram and TikTok. You can find me. So again, Will, appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
Kevin, pleasure.
Can you end this, Kevin?